Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the council meeting, August 17th. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mayor Patricelli,
Present.
Councilman Bills. Here. Councilwoman Diamond.
Will be absent tonight. All right, we'll start by asking everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We'll start tonight by reading of the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion we dispense with the reading of the previous minutes.
I'll second it. Call the roll.
Councilman Bills.
In favor.
Mayor Patricelli.
In favor. All right, we'll move into reports of officers and committees.
Okay, I'm going to give a little bit of my time to Steve Golding, who was here. He'll talk about the CDBG program, but just a couple of updates I wanted to give you. The flashboards were completed this week up at our reservoir. I think I sent you pictures, and we posted that as well for people to see.
Is that on here?
Yes. For people to see what our reservoir does. The water is still below the flashboards at that time due to lack of runoff, but we'll soon get there as far as depth. Contact was made with the owners of the golf course this past few days. I was given the name and address and phone number of the ladies who own that, who inherited from the father. And we had a great conversation, and I plan on, once I return, is trying to set up a meeting to go out with Mr. Bisha to have a conversation with the owners and see if we could work out the ownership of that parcel. The church, as everybody sees, the ADA ramp has been completed, and within the week we'll start moving indoors to start the rehab of the ADA compliancy both internally, the bathroom, and the upgrades to the electric. The roof will also be starting next week as well, and that should wrap up by November, and that project will be completed according to what was being required by DHCR. Today the engineers came into the pool house so we can start getting contract or RFPs to go out for the roof work. We also will be incorporating the replacement tanks of the filtration system. One is leaking. We believe those to be about 35, almost 40 years old. So we're looking to replace those when all the demolition is done. It's my intent, once we close down the pool house, to take and demo the roof and then demo the filtration system and move forward from there once we get council approval. As Amanda will talk about probably is that we're starting budget processes, but out of the budget process that we started with our water department, we talked about the ownership of the dam and the hydro plant for the next 40 years once the licensure is approved. So Amanda, Dave, and I are moving forward with a 40-year plan for repairs, maintenance, and upgrades that the city will need to plan for in the future. First order will be to get a hydro engineer on board so we can develop that 40-year plan. And with that, if there's no questions, I'd like to turn it over to Steve so he can give us a brief overview of the DHCR project.
Good evening, Council.
You're going to have to talk up.
Oh, sorry. Good evening, everyone. So a quick overview of the CDBG Housing Rehab Grant Watervliet. Total applications received are 29. 11 were denied because of various reasons, income, or the house was more than 2 units. 18 applications have been approved. 16 are going to be considered for funding right now. 2 were removed after the approval process just because the code violations that were on the house would require us to use funds in a non-eligible way for different reasons. So at the suggestion of OCR, we have pulled them from the funding. 11, as of next week, I'll have 11 contracts projects. Currently, I have 10. I have 3 bids out currently that will be back by the end of August on the 29th. And 8 projects are currently in the construction phase. Next week, I'll have 2 of those projects completed. As far as finances goes, right now we have spent $59,795, $26,642 for single-family rehabilitation, and $33,153 for multifamily. As far as funds that we have committed that we are in contract with, but we have not spent, in total $227,030. $131,718 will be spent towards, is committed towards single-family rehab, and $95,311 is committed towards multi-unit rehabilitation. As far as, I counted these while I was in my office today, just to give you kind of an idea. I have 3 hot water and heating system replacements, 5 structural repairs, 5 roofs, and 1 asbestos abatement, and 4 bathroom fitters, getting rid of old bathroom surrounds that are rotting and they're hazardous. That's it. Any questions? Excellent.
When did this all start?
So the applications, I believe, went out in 2022, and then I started really getting, well, I came on in September as an employee, and then I started really hitting it and getting contractors lined up and contacting homeowners in about February, I think is when I started really administering it. And our deadline to finish is December 9th. So right now I feel confident that I'm going to be able to get everything done by mid-November. That's the goal. That's what I've told my contractors. That's what I want. That's the expectation. Just so we have a little bit of play between the deadline and we don't have to try to get an extension.
So we're writing the contracts or the specifications for this, or?
Work specs?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm
We're writing.
Yeah.
Who's we? You.
Yeah.
And the work specs are part of the bid that goes out.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. And who's doing the inspections?
The building, so it's between 3 people, so we have the building department. I usually go in, the way it starts is usually, I get the application after it goes through the approval process. I make an appointment with the homeowner, and then with the building department, we do a comprehensive inspection on the home. I get an assessment from the building department, and I build the work specs from there. At that point in time, that's when I send in an electrical inspection agency, and they test for the outlets and everything like that, and basic electric and safety related to it. They could do a more comprehensive inspection if they wanted to, but if we did that, it would just be very expensive. So it's mostly like outlets and connections and things like that, exposed wires. Anything mainly that will create an arc, create a serious fire hazard. And then we send in a lead inspection. They do they test all the surfaces for lead. That's required by federal law. And then after that, it's an asbestos inspection. And that we actually, when we were rolling this out, that was kind of, it took a little while if we were going to do that or not, because the law in New York around that is kind of wishy-washy. No one, based on who enforces it, and it's very ad hoc. But we're doing that. And then at closing, they have a lead clearance. The contractor knows what's, they have access to the report, so they know what the expectation is on that. And then
Who does the inspection for the work being done?
for the work,
Yeah.
the building department.
The building department's doing that, so they'll get the spec and then they'll inspect it.
Yeah, they look at it as it's part of the contract when they fill the permits out with the city.
So they'll be doing 18 Okay. 16, what is it, 16 done, there's 18 inspections, one, but probably at least two per,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I usually try to schedule it with them, you know, like a few days out. They usually have room, there's 3 of them now, so,
Right,
yeah,
right,
so
right.
it makes it pretty easy.
Are we still accepting applications?
Yep, we always will be.
And how much money do we have left to allocate?
Without everything, and last I remember was about $34,000.
Balance?
About, if I, depending on you know, how I'm projecting it, we do have room to squeeze someone in. The thing is, at this point, it's very time sensitive, so if someone wants to apply, they have to have all their paperwork together. And I get approached often about it, and even if I have a conversation with someone about it, and in that conversation, it appears that they might be over the income threshold, I still suggest that they apply because it helps. It makes the city look like at least there's a need there, and there is. You know, because they're going by HUD guidelines, which are very broad. So usually, you know, if someone calls me up, it's happened a few times where they'll inquire about it, and I will go directly to their house with an application and walk through the checklist, or they'll come to my office.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Anything else? Anybody? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Steve. Larry?
You're going to be on first comment.
Garbage. Ooh.
New business?
All right, we'll move into, first, any old business.
There is no old business.
And no old business, so we'll move into new business.
All right, so we're talking about the potential changes to the garbage program. So this was emailed to everyone earlier today. So the mayor had asked me to propose some language which would in effect require rental properties that have none of the units occupied by the property owner to use what we're calling the tipper can, which is the 95 or 96 gallon, or up to 95 or 96 gallon garbage can with the wheels and the cover that flips. So in front of you is some potential language that we would change 168-2.2 of the code. And really the important part is B, added subsection B, which basically says that if there's at least 2 units, and that would include multi-unit residences, which above is defined, I think, as 4 or more units, and there's no owner-occupied apartment on the property, and they're participating in the garbage program, that they would have to use that tipper can. So this is a first shot at the language. Certainly open to suggestions, and certainly want to make sure that it's addressing what the mayor thought the need was. That's what you wanted, right?
Yeah, that's what we discussed about.
Yes.
So as currently written, it would not apply to a single-family rental property.
Why not?
I wasn't, it can. I just wasn't sure whether that was your intention or not.
Some would make the difference.
Well, some single families are rental units.
Yeah.
As
Well,
I
that's what we're
understand.
saying.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying.
I thought didn't we agree that this we wanted, right, or no? Did we talk about it? Maybe we wanted to add the,
I thought that
So
was.
every single, so regardless of size, if it's a rental unit, the rental unit has to have the 96 gallon can.
Is it 96 or 95?
It's 96 96 as written, because we made a change to the code earlier this year, and that said 96, so I stole the same language. But it's up to anyway, so it can't exceed 96,
Right,
so
96.
if a 95 would qualify.
Right.
So I can certainly change it to any rental unit, it's not,
So let me say, as this is written, I don't know if we're, and I think I've heard it both ways, allowing for more garbage or whatever it might be. As it stands right now, we have 2 garbage cans per unit.
Yep.
Okay? Maximum, I think it was 32 gallon cans, so that would be 64 gallons that is allowed under the current code.
No,
There are 2 gallon, two cans per unit.
yeah, but you can have up to 2 95-gallon cans.
No. We did,
We didn't change that. We left it at 2 units, no more than 95 gallons. So they can be
is that how we rewrote it?
That's how we left it.
that's my
yes.
recollection as well.
Yeah, that's what we left.
Okay.
Yeah.
We weren't going to go from 2 to 1. We were leaving it as 2.
We're leaving it as 2, so we're allowing now 2.
No, we didn't allow it now, we did.
Always.
So it's been.
It's been allowed.
It's been a
Better.
while.
It's been, that's what I'm saying. So right now, you're saying the tipper can does not exceed 96 gallons.
Right. Which
Right.
is the same
One
language.
can or 2?
They can have 2.
But that doesn't change that.
But
We
the-
don't change
The
that.
individual can,
I'm asking, are we making more volume?
We did the,
If you did the math, we are.
we are. We
are.
Potentially,
Right.
in the sense that you are, but we're actually going from the tipper can. I don't think it was the volume. I think we had that discussion
I think
before.
the issue was, majority of the people only need a 95-gallon can. But
Right.
in that instance of once a year having a party at the house, summer or something, if somebody put a 95-gallon can out and they had some extra, we were worried about DPW workers or sanitation workers going by saying, oh no, it's 1 can, and it would only happen once in a while, right? Was that what
Yeah,
we speculated, or
right.
I believe that was the speculation was.
I think in the end, we just decided not to change that.
We
Not to change it.
decided not to change that.
Right.
That's what we decided, yeah. So we're not doing anything about the volume. What we're doing now is making the requirement for a rental unit, they have a tipper.
Yes.
If there's no other, if it's not owner occupied.
So it's written, right now, if it's a 2-family, the owner occupied unit obviously does not need to have it, but the additional rental unit would need to have it.
Say that again?
So let's, for instance, if I have a 2-family house,
Right,
I live on the 1st floor, somebody lives on the 2nd
Right.
floor. I don't need to have it, but the rental unit does need to have it.
no. No, that's not what we said.
Oh, if there's no owner lives on the property at all.
Right.
If the owner does live on the property, then no one needs it.
Right.
Whoa, let's say that again. You're saying now, if
If I
it's
live-
2-family, and if I
two-family.
live in it, if I live downstairs, I don't need to get one from
For
above.
upstairs.
I think that's a slippery slope. I think we should make it that as, if it's a rental unit included in that dwelling, we should have a tipper can. Because now you're gonna have, the possibility of garbage spewing all over.
But that's when the owner is there. I
And
think.
the owner could be just as derelict as some that are not,
Absolutely.
as the
And
absentee
that they would also,
landlords.
and they would also get a fine for that. If they did have it and they were derelict in it, they would.
I totally
they would be
agree,
fined.
we find it, but I think the intent of using the tipper cans is to try to reduce that. I just think it's a slippery slope, just because someone is living there, we don't have to, I could see not bringing in the single families right now, but if it's an owner with a tenant, I think that kicks in, because now you're reclassifying the meaning of a 2-family. Well, no, because I'm living there, so I don't fall under those laws.
Correct.
I just think that's slippery.
In what way?
Because we're identifying a multi-dwelling or a 2-family dwelling to be 2 units or more. Now, so this law doesn't apply to me because I live here,
Correct.
but I'm still a landlord. I got a tenant up above. So my tenant doesn't have to follow the same rules that every other tenant has to follow in this municipality.
And what if the landlord lives in one of the 4 apartments?
Well, that's what we're describing now.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what we're
So
deciding.
just because
Right.
a landlord is living on the property doesn't make him a good steward of the property. If we're trying to do this to get in
I-
the tenancy component,
We're actually trying not to, it's not so much the tenancy component, it's those that are not living there and taking care of the, might not take
but
care of the
again,
property.
there
because
could be several derelict property owners that live in their properties right now. I think they should, even because I live there, I shouldn't be,
I think we got to talk to,
Community.
I think what we should do though is we might want to talk to code
Yeah.
and see how many of those situations actually do happen. Because I'm going to say there are very few and far between. I'm guessing, I'm
Yes.
hoping that that'd be
So
the
also
case.
with this is, if it's a 4-unit and the landlord lives there,
Right,
none of them would have to get tippers.
correct.
That's what the mayor's talking about right now.
That's-
That's not how I originally prepared it, though.
So say it's a 2-family house, but the landlord lives downstairs and he claims nobody lives on the stairs. What would happen in that case?
It doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because he lives on the property according to what the
He
mayor.
doesn't-
Oh, okay,
wanted to do.
I see.
He- No, none of the units need the tipper
Right.
can.
and don't forget, I think these tipper cans are also gonna help our guys, you know, by loading that garbage on and everything else. I'd love to see the entire city go to tipper cans.
I would too.
Single family
I
or
would too.
2-family.
We would,
But I just think it's a slippery slope that just because a tenant or a landlord lives on a property, it's not saying that the landlord is a responsible property maintenance guy
but he,
or woman.
right. I think what the intent here is that he lives here in the city and he would hopefully care for the city, to be able to make sure that what he's there, this is part of his city, and not somebody who lives outside the city who
Yeah.
basically might not see what happens.
What-
And I think they also, the protection for even those that don't live in the city, is that these cans will reduce their possibility of being fined for things that their tenants do. So even if they had to buy a $65 or $70 can, it's a heck of a lot better than getting a fine because some tenant didn't, comply with the law, but they didn't.
One of the issues, though, that we do see in code court is people, owners of the property, contending that they live in a unit
A few,
when
they don't.
they perhaps do not.
Right.
And would be a defense to the ROP issue and all those
Right.
other things.
Right.
So you are kind of opening another reason why people might claim they live there.
And again, if we had to investigate that, I think it's pretty easy might be easier to check it out.
think
And I don't know how many, I know we've had that, I know who you're talking about, we had a lot of problems and that was, but I don't think that's the norm.
Oh, certainly not the norm.
Yeah.
I don't think it's,
I think with any system or any codes, anything you have, there's always gonna be that one group that says, their job is to sit there for 8 hours figuring out, okay, how can I bypass this,
Right, but I would just say from a pure enforcement standpoint, meaning enforcing the requirement that overall, generally speaking, tenant-occupied units have a tipper can, the enforcement of it is going to be much more simple if you don't have to divide it between, the owner lives on the property or not.
And that's the distinction that we're having a problem now with garbage. You've got a single-family home operating as a 2-family, and they're looking at the home saying, well, that's only supposed to be 2 cans. Why is there 4? I'm only picking up 2. So now you're adding a layer to say, okay, it's not a tipper can, but it's a 2-unit. How do I know if it's a homeowner? So I'm just thinking it's a slippery.
It could be, and I think it's a start. We
Yeah.
can go ahead,
I think-
but I would still like to have I think that's why this is on for discussion.
Yeah.
And not on for actual,
Yeah.
I think my next steps is I'd like to be able to have another conversation with the code, and I'd like to have another conversation with the drivers of the trucks, and, naturally you should be involved in that
Yeah.
as well, because I think,
The thing with, just working there in the past, the drivers and the guys in the truck, it's awful hard for them guys, because when you're in an alley, and you're looking at buildings and the paint, and you don't know, it's really, it's tough to put any onus on the drivers and the workers,
Right.
because it's hard, you can't figure that out unless you have, you know.
Right,
some kind
how
of
would they
map.
know whether
They
the
don't know what a
property
two-family.
owner lives
You know,
there?
there's property in
Right.
Port Schuyler that looks like maybe 2, possibly 3-family, and for years it was a 5.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like, because we didn't know, because the other address is here, but this part of the house was painted a different color. We're thinking it's different, but it's all one piece, so
Or
it's really
different
hard.
streets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's definitely, I'm open for discussion, and, you know, I'd be willing to meet.
Okay. I'm
So
good.
I'll sit tight until I hear further on potential changes.
One of the other things we have to still, and it's still not part of the discussion on this, but we have to finalize the noise ordinance. We did meet, you took notes. There were some changes, basic changes that were, did you have a chance to talk to Brian about?
No, I didn't, there wasn't really any changes that I remember Lois coming with that day.
Yeah.
We'll have to regroup then on that, because I don't remember any changes, because I think she was trying to even provide us more options to it. So I'll have to look at my notes, but I
Would
have
you
not
look
talked
at your
to
notes,
Brian.
because I know you
Yeah.
wrote them down.
Yeah.
Her position previously had been that we should just go back to the
Go
old.
back to the old one.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, that was basically part of it, but also including a couple of items, and I think there were only 2 small changes.
Yeah, I have to
That,
look at
that,
it, yeah.
that might have worked, and I think it still pertained to the decibels. You know, but that was it. But I like to, someday I'd like to put that to bed. And I think we've had this other issue just recently too with the bands, that we have not addressed yet.
With the what?
With the band that wasn't addressed yet.
Oh, the band.
The band that wasn't addressed yet, so that's only another hot waiting to boil over. Okay. Anything else? You good?
No, good.
Okay, move on, please.
The first resolution is number 55 for 2023. This is a resolution approving an agreement between the City of Watervliet and Gomez and Sullivan Engineering for services required to apply for Department of Energy grant funding.
I'll make a motion on resolution number 55.
I'll second it.
So section 247 of the federal, the Department of Energy grant funding, this actually applies to some of the work, once our FERC license is approved, we'll be responsible for doing some work at our reservoir. Water quality, yield passage, and a couple of environmental components that are part of the FERC qualifications in order for us to get relicensed for the next 40 years. Department of Energy has a grant fund, again, out of section 247. We sent in 3 letters of intent under clean energy infrastructure, under the yield passage, and the other was the hydroelectric project. So Gomez and Sullivan, who's been handling the FERC qualification for us, has put together a proposal that they will shepherd through these 3 grants, and that would be in the amount of $14,700, because some of the information that we need for the grant application to actually live within the FERC licensure, so it makes a great seamless approach to this, that they be the one to apply for the grant.
Hey, Rich. Good. Good. All right. You good?
I'm good.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Dawes?
In favor.
Mayor Patricelli?
In favor.
Resolution number 56 for 2023 is a resolution approving an agreement between CHPE LLC and CHPE Properties, Inc. and the City of Watervliet for a crossing agreement for the Champlain Hudson Power Express electric transmission cable system crossing at the Watervliet Reservoir.
I'll make a motion on resolution number 56.
I'll second it.
So this one is an agreement with CHPE Champlain Hudson Power Express Electric. There is a, I showed you the easement language and the easement. If you are familiar with the reservoir, this is the reservoir to the upper right left-hand corner of the photo. This is our dam right here. Access comes along through our property right here, and this is access to inside the hydro plant. So they're looking to come in here so they can do work on a couple of the abutments that they have for the bridge structure. So it's a simple easement. I don't think there was a fee. Remember, I don't think there was a fee that we'd be.
I thought there was.
You know what, you might be right, I just
It was
passed.
like $1,000 or
Yeah.
some minimal amount. And it's a temporary easement just for construction purposes. So then
Correct.
they're supposed to clear it out and then return the property to its prior condition.
Yes.
I was wondering about the, who's making, when I look, you take a real close look at that, who's maintaining that bridge?
Yeah, this is their bridge.
This is their bridge.
This is their bridge, so.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes?
In favor.
Mayor Patricelli?
In favor.
Resolution number 57 for 2023 is a resolution approving the payment for repairs to stabilize a vacant building located at 403 23rd Street in the city of Watervliet.
I'll make a motion on resolution 57.
I'll second.
This property is the former Morelli's Deli and residence on 403 23rd Street, right on the corner. You remember that we had, there was bricks falling, water was getting behind the brick layer. It was also making its way into the roof. So it made water and ice as it comes through the winter, blows out that wall and the soldier blocks that are there. So we had that repointed and done. But one thing that they didn't have done was actually stabilizing the interior roof. Davco was on site. They did this work on behalf of the city. So this here actually covers that payment of $4,800 to finalize all the roof stabilization for the second story and down to the first story. Nothing to do with the basement.
It needed it.
It did need it. It was a cause and effect, so.
It's across from the church, right?
Right across from Our Lady of One Carmel Church, yes.
Any other questions? Okay. Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes?
In favor.
Mayor Patricelli?
In favor.
Resolution number 58 for 2023 is a bond resolution dated August 17, 2023. The Council of the City of Watervliet authorizing not to exceed $879,786 aggregate principal amount of serial general obligation bonds to finance the acquisition of existing streetlights throughout the city from National Grid and the conversion to an installation of energy-efficient, light-emitting diode LED fixtures. Said amount to be offset by any grants received at an estimated maximum cost of $879,786. Levy of tax and annual installment payments thereof, the expenditure of such sum for such purpose, and determining other matters in connection therewith.
Well read. This one here is,
May I make a motion?
oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just saying a mouthful. Sorry, go ahead.
Did we make the motion already?
No.
No.
All right, I'll make a motion on resolution number 58.
I'll second. I'll second.
It's just a bond resolution to purchase the streetlights and upgrade to LED lights.
That we've been talking about for the last bunch of months.
Yeah.
Yeah, you selected option 2, if you remember.
We.
Right, yeah. You wasn't,
Okay.
you.
Collectively,
You,
you.
as they say. It was option 2, and of those streetlights, don't forget, we have 2 of them currently installed at Hudson Shores. If you're down there, take a look at them.
Well,
Yeah.
I looked around my neighborhood too, my lights are all working. I know the mayor sent something out for people to check their neighborhoods.
Yes.
So I didn't get time to email them back, but I'll let you know that up where I live and surrounding blocks are working right now.
Let the record reflect that your rights are right.
If we will.
My lights are on.
How long are those going to be up at Hudson Shores Park?
They'll be up there for a while, as soon as we make a decision. Now, I wasn't here for the original portion of this, but they said that it dates back a while that we were working with this. Hudson Shores lights already are owned by the city. So those have not been converted to LED, but believe that they are. So I gotta check those out, and that's why now we have one of
I
the,
think they were.
yeah, I honestly don't know, but you'll be able to see them close to each other now.
And I think they, and I think you can check with Billy O'Brien.
Yeah.
I think he did the conversion on them.
Because we own the ones on 19th Street too, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And we also own the poles on Broadway, the metal poles. Right. Yeah, we have that.
Right, so if you
And
guys.
you are keeping the list of the issues that I had mentioned about a couple of them, right?
We gave that list to National Grid, so they have
That's the
that.
ones that aren't working. I'm talking about some of the other issues that we had, like the, under the bridge.
That's inclusive in the basketball.
But
Yes.
also on the other side,
On the other side, yes. Yes,
underneath the other side of the bridge, where that mural is.
correct. Correct.
And then we have one pole that's missing.
Where was that pole?
It slipped in your mind. The one by Veterans Park on 16th Street.
Yes.
Right.
Good answer.
Good answer. Yes.
No, I'm just trying to visualize.
Well read, Joe.
What's that?
There's that one.
All right.
We have,
We'll circle back to make sure we're not missing any.
yeah, there's that one. And then we just talked about, we might need, if we do anything at the park, we might have to look at the park for some rewiring.
Okay.
Well, before we do a lot of the blacktopping or something like that, but that's something that they can,
Yeah.
I mean, it should be looked at, because right now, like you said, all the lights are on because of the internet is on,
Yeah.
and it's powered off the light poles. Okay. All right.
You want to read these two?
Yeah, we gotta vote on it. Just before the joke, on this with the bond, I know it goes with the bond. When is it gonna be turned, when are the lights gonna be turned over to us?
So the Public Service Commission is supposed to be voting on this Monday, what is it? the
21st.
21st?
Sometime in August?
Yeah, so that's when it is that they're gonna take it on. And then there'll be a closing date from that point. We don't know that closing date yet.
Okay.
Once they take the action, then we'll go forward.
And I know we still have a number of them that aren't working, so that they're gonna take care of that.
That's back on their court. The gentleman, he sent the information to, unbeknownst to us only until last week, that the gentleman unfortunately passed away back in June. It never kicked back to us that he wasn't there or any of this happening. When Centrica reached out to a contact they had at Master Grid, they said that Mr. Malone passed away. So we then sent that information to his contact, and they're shepherding it through the process now. Because if all works well, there may be an adjustment for the lights.
You mean the power, and
Whatever,
and
yeah.
again, I'm more concerned with that they be working until between now and the time that we have to convert them. Because
Right.
Because we're not going to be doing an old street light pole replacement.
No, understood.
Okay. Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes?
In favor.
Mayor Patricelli?
In favor.
Resolution number 59 for 2023 is a resolution authorizing Mayor Charles V. Patricelli to execute an opt-in agreement with the Watervliet City School District regarding the school bus stop arm demonstration program.
I'll make a motion on resolution number 59 for 2023.
I'll second.
So you will remember earlier this year, local law was passed where the school bus stop arm demonstration program was made part of the Watervliet City Code. The next step in the process is reaching an agreement with the school district, which allows the equipment to be installed on the buses, and that's resolution number 59. And just to jump ahead, 60, the next step in the process after that is the actual agreement between the city and Bus Patrol America LLC, who are the people that are loading the equipment onto the buses and then administering the plan moving forward.
Right. Did you notice, and I can't remember, wasn't there a news article on something that was going on with the ticketing or the...
So over the last 4 or 5 months, there's been several articles in the Times-Union, various places throughout the capital region that have adopted the program, and obviously the financial impact of it, but as well as the fact that as time goes on, the violations are lowering as well. So yeah, I would say there's probably an article every 3 or 4 weeks.
Awesome. Okay. Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes?
In favor?
Mayor Patricelli?
In favor.
Resolution number 60 for 2023 is a resolution authorizing Mayor Charles B. Patricelli to execute a master agreement with Bus Patrol America LLC regarding the school bus arms demonstration program.
I'll make a motion on resolution 60.
I'll second.
So like I said, this is the agreement with the company that's really going to be administering the process. The only thing I would add is, from the city's perspective, I don't know if these discussions have been fully had, but there needs to be somebody in the city assigned to this program, supposed to review video when a notice comes in that this is a potential violation. There is some work that needs to be done on the city's end. So the last we spoke to the people at Bus Patrol, and I don't know, Joe, you probably spoke to them after I have, but they're still hopeful of getting this thing up and running, by early September.
Yeah.
So some of those internal discussions really need to be had.
Does it have to be a police officer, or does that
I don't think it doesn't have to be a police officer initially, but I do think in the end, a police officer does need to take a look at it.
We can make that happen. We have 2 on light duty, so they can do that. So, yes.
And then once, I'll also have a conversation with the court, because people who object, it's not a point violation, it's not a vehicle and traffic violation, but people who don't believe that they violated the law are entitled to have a hearing before the city court judge. So I'll talk to the court system about how that's going to work as well.
Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes?
In favor?
Mayor Patricelli?
In favor.
And that concludes this evening's new business.
Okay, move into appropriations and accounting. Is there any?
Couple things. So, as Joe mentioned, we are headed into budget season. We are going to start having budget workshops with the next council meeting, September 7th at 5 p.m. It's going to be a little different this year to accommodate different leave times for some of our department head managers. So we're going to start with the fire department, then move into the water, highway, police, and admin. The dates for those particular workshops are September 7th, September 21st, October 5th, and October 19th, and finishing with admin November 2nd. The caveat is, I know that the mayor and the clerk will be on vacation for the first meeting in December. So I am hoping that the council will allow for a meeting November 30th so that we can have the public hearing and the vote on the budget so that the finance department can move forward with preparing bills and, moving forward with Albany County and all of that kind of good stuff that we need to do. I prefer not to do mid-December.
Would you be able to send an Outlook invite for those dates for each one of those to us so that we can accept it and have it in there?
5 p.m.
5 p.m.
5 p.m. for the workshops, but the
Right. Well, I'm
November.
talking to all of them.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
The November 30th would be a normal council meeting, I would assume,
Right.
unless you wanted to have it at a 5 PM or even a middle of the day
No,
would be totally
It would be,
fine.
it would be a special meeting though, that's not on the regular schedule,
No,
right?
but just,
Correct.
Yeah, so it would be a schedule, a special
Schedule.
meeting, but
yeah,
yeah.
just put it as a special meeting, but send the invite so we have them all in the, as a calendar. So I want to make sure we have it in for what reason, is it police, fire, or whatever.
Would, did you want to do a specific time for that November 30th meeting, or?
No, I think it's
keep it at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, yeah. Yeah, fine with me.
TBA to be announced, whatever, in case something comes up, in case I can't be here until 10 up.
I think Tracy will have me back by then, so I should be fine.
Thank you. Okay,
Very good.
Very good.
all right. A few things before we get into the public comment period. We had a discussion today, and I don't know how deep we want to get into it, but we had a discussion today with code people regarding some issues that we were having with code and some of the ideas that we had thought about. But we also had a discussion about still the need for the second meeting or the second court date in, for the month. We still haven't, we still seem to be going around in circles on that. Joe, can you explain to Brian what we had that as a problem?
Sure, so one of the things that came up in today's meeting was, say we have a violation today, and we have a court meeting on,
September 2nd.
well, yeah, let's actually say, we have a court coming up August 22nd, or whatever, let's use the first of the month. So I can actually have you make that first meeting. If they go and they check that person, or they don't show, the next time they have it is a month later. So there's no way to have it where a second violation is done within a 2-week period, or getting that person who didn't show back to court unless it happens a month later. So code is arguing the fact that that secondary court appearance or date is very important to their operation. I think this is an offline conversation to operations, but if you,
I have my thoughts on that, but
And the other, and we can talk about it later, we can figure it out later. But the other thing we wanted to make sure is is that wasn't the only one, Joe. There's a deadline where it had to be into the court, like September 7th. So if there was a violation written today, it could still make the September 7th
correct,
court date. But if it was, let's say, the deadline before it got into the court was next week or something like this, next week, that
Got
wouldn't
pushed
happen
out.
until October.
correct.
And then that's what they were saying, I can't get anybody into October, and because he hears us saying, what's going on with this? Because, well, we haven't even got to court yet, and we're not gonna get there until October. So those are the things that we can hope to find. But if you can handle that with Joe and Code, I'd appreciate it.
I'd be happy to handle it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. We talked about the need to finish up the noise ordinance. A few things I had. We have an end of the year pool party, which is not the end of the year for the pool tomorrow, but it's August 24th, but we're having the end of the year pool party tomorrow. And hopefully the weather will hold tight for the afternoon's party. The 9/11 ceremony will be held at 9/11 at the Elks at 5 o'clock. I think it's at 5 o'clock or 5:30. I can't remember which one it is for sure, but it's going to be at 9/11 on the day of 9/11. We recently dedicated that sign that Joe negotiated with the owner of the gas station on 23rd Street in the memory or whatever of, or not the memory, but in honor of Tom and Mary Lou Augusta. That was one thing we had. And let's see, what else is it? I want to thank the Housing Authority for providing some kits today to paint the lines at the dome. They did a pretty good job of it for freehand. Stack, go quick, but they did a very good job. But I thank them for doing that. And there was anything else that we had?
Not to interrupt you, but it's 5 o'clock on the 11th.
Is Is it 5? Okay. Right, 5 o'clock anyway. And I don't know of anything else. We are working on the race. I understand it's going well. So that'd be September 17th, but we'll have a meeting before that. And that's all I have. And we'll now move in. If you have anything?
No.
Okay. Anybody else? We'll move into the public comment period.
At this time, the mayor and the council have authorized a public comment period. If you wish to address the council, please step forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 2 minutes with which to speak.
All right, we open it up the public comment period. There's no one in attendance except for Steve. Steve, do you have any comments to make?
No, it's fine.
Okay, very good. All right, so with no comments and no one here to make any comments, we'll close the public comment period. Now, I'd like to have a motion for going into executive session.
Yes, to discuss the status of litigation.
Status of litigation, okay, who needs to be here?
I think he needs a motion first.
Everyone, yeah.
Yes, but so it'll be the 4 of us and Amanda. I don't think Dave has to stay. He's welcome to, but
Okay. All right, I'll have a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
All right, I'll second it. Call the roll.
Councilman Dawes?
In favor.
Mayor Patricelli?
In favor. All right. Thank you, everyone.